Is your local hospital staff getting trained on transgender etiquette? They are, if they want a good score from the Human Rights Campaign. The Human Rights Campaign decided to launch a grading scale where they decide which hospitals are good at the transgender agenda and which are bad. So, for example, when a hospital in Dallas, they lost points on the equality index when they stopped offering puberty blockers, which are unproven to be offered to young people, but I don't know, the United States wants to hand them out anyway, like M&Ms. The Human Rights Campaign says the hospital was practicing discrimination against transgender youth for not giving them medication that would cause their hair to fall out and memory loss and bone density loss. So yeah, that was discrimination against transgender people. Now, why would a hospital participate in this grading scale? And is there any concern that this could actually be dangerous to healthcare? Like a doctor saving a life and we're like, hey, get him this. Oh no, doctor, get them this, right? I don't know. I don't think that this is something I want my doctor acutely thinking about in life-saving situations. Let me tell you a little bit first about the Human Rights Campaign. They are a far-left organization that promotes gender ideology, although they started as a gay rights organization. But as we've talked about a lot, the transgender agenda has sort of lobbed on to the civil rights movement of gay rights. Gay people, they don't really need big pharma to back them up. They just kind of are. They don't need medicines to be gay. They just are gay. Trans people, however, are big business for big pharma, and HRC is funded by companies who profit for this. Not surprisingly, one of their big funders is Pfizer. And the pharma industry, it's called Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, which is a lobby. It's just a big conglomeration of all big pharma. Pfizer makes testosterone and other cross-sex hormones. Another supporter is AbbVie, maker of Lupron, which is a puberty blocker.
Blocker, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other coalition members include BlackRock and Vanguard, heavy contributors to the transgender medical complex, and two children's hospitals with gender clinics, Children's Minnesota Hospital and Nationwide Children's Hospital. So it's super convenient that the people who surcharge for their drugs for transgender treatment are funding a lobbyist campaign to get doctors to behave in a way that necessitates their drugs, that will sell their drugs. We've covered this a lot because Lupron sometimes is used for cancer patients or precocious puberty. When it's used for a non-ideological purpose, it's usually charged at about $4,000, I think, a month or a dose. When it's used to treat gender ideology, it's twice that. It's about $9,000 charged to your insurance company, or if you can pay it out of pocket, go ahead. Now, a few more of their financial backers for HRC are listed here. I just scroll through it here for you. Their financial reports from last year showed that they are receiving about $70 million per year in donation from Big Pharma. So if they're telling you they are just super sensitive people that are all in on gender ideology because they want safe spaces for this one type of dysphoria, that is very hard to believe given how much corporate-backed interest there is in what they do. Again, it's just sort of like they will do the bidding of the transgender agenda, and the pharmaceutical companies are in the back with their purse open. Like, go ahead. Now the doctors have to put these children in our system forever. So the scheme was exposed this week by the Free Beacon, but researcher Jennifer Bielek has been working to expose this for years. Not only does it show that hospitals get graded by HRC, they also get staff training that requires them to use preferred pronouns. They also require that they allow self-identification access to bathrooms. So if someone says they're a woman, they get the woman's bathroom, no questions asked. And that they add more sections on hospital forms than just male, female, because that's oppressive to check that box. It makes people feel bad. And here's a template that they suggest not just hospitals, but all businesses hand out as like human resources guidebook. They want all companies to give this out. Like, you know, you get a job and you get your 401k packet and your human resources packet, and like stapled to that should also be this template for gender transition in case at any point during your employment, you decide to change your gender, here's the employee manual for that. Here are some screens from...
I don't recall getting that when I first started my job at McDonald's as part of the employee handbook.
No.
Don't touch the fryer. Don't touch the fry vat.
Yeah.
Do this. Make sure you wash your hands. Report for work at this. Wear a clean uniform. And if you decide to become a woman...
At any point during your employment... These are the company policies.
Oh, my God.
Here are just a few screens that the HRC training puts in place for hospital staff. You see, it's telling them what cisgender means. Now, cisgender is a term I really don't like because it means someone whose gender identity is the same as the sex assigned at birth. It's sort of the default, but it's something that transgender people call us non-transgender people. And
it's a derogatory, I think so. It's a slur.
It's like, I don't think anybody signed up for being, a cis person. It also, like the way it was used in the most recent Sex and the City reboot is like, you don't want to be this cisgender married lady, as if that's a boring identity.
To be a woman who's married?
Yeah.
But we're going to, now we need to call
that was
cis.
literally one of the things that they called her.
It's like making fun of somebody for having vanilla sex,
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you're boring, you're cis.
Yeah. So I don't consent to being called that at all. I don't like that word, but I guess they want hospitals to use it. Here's pronoun guides. How you're going to use pronouns. It's he, him, she, her, they, them, or z, her, and hers. And then the gender unicorn is about like how your DNA is different from what you think and who you're attracted to and what your reproductive organs do. I mean, you have to think about it. These are lobbyists telling doctors how to treat a human body, right? Telling doctors how to treat a human body in a way that the lobbyists will profit from. This actually was featured in a recent episode of, not too recent, but recent reboot of The Babysitter's Club. My daughter likes to watch this show. And in this episode, a trans child that is a biological boy is taken to the hospital and Marianne's babysitting. And the doctor calls the boy a boy. And Marianne takes the doctor out and lectures the doctor and says, you're making her feel bad. She's a her. You can see that she's dressed in pink. You should know that. Which is really interesting because that child actor, their parents admitted that they thought that their son was gay and that they just felt like because they came from a Christian background, they would rather have a transgender daughter than a gay boy.
What?
This is literally what, and then that child now is an actor featured prominently in these Babysitters
That's
Club.
going to be the new strategy in churches. They're going to try to target church. They're going to try to go into Christian churches and they're going to try to say, hey, this would be more in alignment somehow with the Bible. Like they're going to try to spin and try to force Christians to think this way.
That is already something that, because they sort of play on homophobia and say, well, you don't have to have a gay child.
Yeah,
if your child transitions, they're straight.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about a gay kid.
Right.
Now they're just going to be a girl, and now you've got a girl.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked many times about how this ideology is homophobic. This is just one iteration of that. And also, I just thought that that was a very condescending scene because, like, what if that boy, let's just play that out, right? It's a biological boy going into the hospital, but dressed in pink. And so Marianne is saying, you're making her feel bad. But what if he had balanitis, which is a yeast infection in the penis? Like, and you're saying to the doctor, do not treat him as a boy. But then, like, you could miss a major infection in, like, that is gendered, right? That is sexed.
Is that a made up thing?
No, it's real.
I've never heard of, Philip, have you ever heard of balanitis?
It's a real thing.
Sounds like you just made that up.
I have not.
It's, well, okay. It's the male
I've heard
version
of thresh.
It's the male version of a yeast infection.
Oh, okay.
Which can happen. So
I've never heard of this.
That's good. Let's knock on wood that we don't get that in our house.
Knock on wood.
But again, this does happen where trans people show up at the hospital and insist that they are one gender and they are not. And then there was a woman in the UK who came and said, I'm a man, checked all the forms that she was a man, and the hospital missed internal bleeding in the uterus, and that person died. So again, do you want that person to treat your child's feelings or treat your child's bodies, right? Do you want the doctor scanning for things that are real to their biology? Well, what HRC wants is that the doctor to focus on ideology. Here are just some of the categories that they're grading hospitals on: patient and community engagement, employee benefits and policies, transgender inclusive health insurance, LGBTQ plus patient support and services, and transgender patient service and support. Now, missing from that is detransition care, because nobody who cares about ideology cares at all about what happens when detransitioners come off of these unproven drugs. And a hospital can get really high rankings if they're offering these unproven, unstudied. Again, because how are you going to get a board to sign off on a study on cross-sex hormones for children, sex change surgeries for children? It's unethical to study, but apparently it's fully ethical to just go ahead and do. A hospital, again, can lose points if they decide not to do this. If you can get a perfect score if a hospital displays LGBT symbols, uses all the right pronouns. Over 2,200 health systems in the U.S. have already been rated by this scheme.
2,000?
Now, this may not be a problem if your doctors are being graduated from Indiana University School of Medicine, because this week there was a medical school professor at Indiana University who spoke out about a class being offered that is teaching med students to call women people with crevices.
What?
The professor said people with cervices. Sorry, crevices. Yeah. I read
crevices.
That wrong. With cervixes. Crevice works too.
Oh yeah, see, it works both ways actually.
Yeah,
crevices
it is a
or
crevice, but men have crevices. So okay,
yeah,
that was a
Freudian
Freudian
crevice
slip.
might get you slapped. That might get you slapped, depending on the
right.
subject.
How many women here have a crevice? I mean, a cervix.
Well, we all have crevices.
Oh my
right?
God.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Let me recover from that. So the professor said that this is anti-scientific and anti-biological, saying it could have very detrimental effects on the healthcare profession. Here is the PowerPoint that went along with this, saying that if you're treating somebody, try and use non-gendered words to go along with what it is you're talking about. Do person first language to place the person before a trait. So an example, instead of saying women need to undergo yearly cervical cancer screening, you'd say people with service need to undergo yearly cervical cancer screening. You can no longer say breast cancer screening for women. It's screening for people with breasts. Breast havers actually is the way that we're supposed to call it. Anatomy-based language, focus on the organs, tissue, and structure. So we're no longer a person. We are just a conglomeration of pieces of body parts, right?
Like a Frankenstein. Yeah.
Not as a typical person. So you wouldn't say the male gonad produces sperm. You'd say the testes produce sperm.
My God.
And also, here's the goals of this. This is in med school, my dudes. Med school. Reduce gendered language and instead use first person and/or anatomy-specific language. If gender or sex is necessary, be cautious of generalizations. Engage in self-directed learning and apprise yourself of inclusive language. Now, it's interesting because you think of like, okay, if I go in for my annual exam and they're like, okay, we're going to, examine your cervix, we're going to examine this part. And you're like, well, you can call me a woman. They'd be like, no, we can't. Or, when should
You're a person with a crevice.
I can't say that because it will make other people feel bad if they are not a woman, if they're a woman without these parts. And I could say, well, nobody's here. Let's just talk about it. No, the fact that they know that we do in your screening will make them feel left out in theirs.
It's like they should just ask you if you have an innie or an outie. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, an innie and outie belly button serve similar functions. An innie or an outie anatomy, genitals do not. Yeah, they just don't. No matter how much we may want that to happen if you're a trans rights activist. Now, okay, so that's happening in medical school. If you want your child to be a doctor that understands biology, maybe rethink that school. In Scotland, though, hospitals have already made it clear that they do not want to put ideology on sick people. This happened just a few months ago. Hospitals in Scotland say that they ordered they spent over £33,000 on these
Pins.
Gender inclusivity badges that they wanted hospital workers to wear. And they just kind of went unused because hospital workers did not want to wear them to treat sick people. They wanted to not push an agenda. They wanted to, save lives.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Because the rest of Scotland's gone crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the whole NHS system is suffering, especially in Scotland, they say, from mismanagement and negligence, but the government somehow found the management resources for rainbow pins. So helpful.
Yeah.
I guess hospitals in Florida, though, will see their ratings plummet by HRC now that Governor Ron DeSantis has signed into legislation this bill that forbids sex change surgeries and hormones for minors. This is called the Let Kids Be Kids bill. But as you can imagine, the Human Rights Commission is saying they will fight this.
So we can't let kids be kids.
No, we need
to push transhumanism on that. We need to push body mutilation and child mutilation on kids.
A child should be able to cut off her boobs at 11.
Yeah.
That's what the
Hey, 4-year-old little Billy, you got a penis? You should probably be able to cut it off. You do whatever you want.
You think you're gay? No, you're not gay. You're just a woman. So let's get rid of that down there and you can live your life as a woman. And then I won't have to worry about what I say to the church, I guess.
Unbelievable. You're just people with crevices. All right.
Crevices. I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, I like that. Let us know your thoughts on this in the comments below. It's a world gone crazy. It's a clown world out there. I'm glad that these are the things that our politicians and thought leaders are most focused on. When literally the country is collapsing right before our eyes. This is the shit that they give a crap about. It's unbelievable.
But there is a lot of money for it. So I was watching Douglas Murray's speech today, which became controversial on the internet. And he was talking about how, all of this is a distraction from the fact that politicians don't have real answers to society, which may be true. The culture wars feel like a distraction, but there is money here and there is power that's much more powerful behind than just whatever it is we think or we want for our children. And we are up against a big lobbyist wall with a lot of money behind it. I mean, who wouldn't want to sell a drug for $9,000 a month? Lifelong client.
It's brought to you by the people that gave us the opium epidemic.
Yeah.
It's the same idea behind it. It's like you've got these pharmaceutical companies influencing doctors' decisions on how they should be treating their patients and pushing opioids.
Yeah.
And because they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right about it. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.